Financially free with Cleo.
Hey, this is Cleo with CleoYogaFinance.com, and welcome back for another episode of Financially Free with Cleo, a show where we shift mindsets with real and raw money conversations with everyday people, empowering you to take action, appreciate the journey, and live the lifestyle you desire financially, mentally, and physically. Today we have two very special guests, Mi'esha and Christian Reynolds. Mi'esha is an international school counselor, spiritual coach, and advocate for Black women and families. From a touchy subject to a testimony, she has vulnerably shared her testimony for finding her birth father as an adult and reconnecting to a past and a void that was once linked to pain and confusion. Growing up with a father wound and having gone through anxiety, depression, and stress, she knows firsthand how God can heal and change the trajectory of your life. And we have Christian. He is the founder of Pixel Estates, a video marketing agency for real estate professionals. He is an expert in video strategy, helping them use more video content to scale and sell their businesses. His primary focus is to use professional video production to build their real estate brand and give them a campaign to better connect with potential buyers. So welcome to the show, Mi'esha and Christian. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, I appreciate it. I'm so excited to have this conversation so that we can learn more about you two, more about your businesses, and of course, how we all can connect and support you all. So first, let's start with our childhood. I always like to take it way back in the day so we can learn how you all grew up and also how you both learned about money.
So I guess growing up, for me, I'm the youngest of five. My dad still is a fireman. But if I remember correctly, he started off janitor and he eventually quit that job. But I remember like when I was probably 5 or 6 years old, I remember him being a janitor at high school. He went off to quit that job and became a fireman. And my mom, she worked at like nonprofit organizations here and there, different nonprofit organizations. So we didn't grow up with a lot of money, but had enough money to get through and all of that jazz. In terms of money and what we would learn growing up, we did learn how to use what we had. So my mom was always, about, budgeting and, we never really got name brand things and really understanding the value of money. We were taught those things, but in terms of like investing or financial literacy here and there, it was kind of like you got some money, use the money the right way, and that's it.
I am my mother's only child, and we didn't have a lot of money either. And so it was just the two of us. But yeah, just growing up, not getting any information from her or from people around us about money. She did what she could to support, us as a single mom. Even though it's only one child, you would think it's a little bit easier, but it's still difficult. So yeah, I guess she would save some, but not nearly like as to the extent of like what we have worked on and what we plan to instill in our kids one day. Yeah, learning about money as a child. Yeah.
Right. I'm sure, most people probably can't say that they were taught, financial literacy at an early age or even in their childhood. It was more like, mom and dad or whoever just gets us through, and we get through and kind of like learn to kind of survive, if you will. So.
I can definitely relate to that because growing up, I did not have anyone to teach me about money. And my mom, she did the best she could with what she had. But, I think a lot of us, you're right, a lot of us can relate to not growing up being taught about saving and investing and learning how to, manage money or earn money. But we all kind of had those trial and error, like learning from our own journeys as adults. And, that's what I did. But now that you guys are adults now, do you all currently have any money conversations with your parents or with family at all?
I don't have them with my mom. It's kind of like, this is what we do in our house and she do her own thing. My mom is a she likes to buy things that she doesn't necessarily need, you know. Oh, this cereal dispenser was on sale. Mom, you don't even eat cereal. So like things like that. And I think now that obviously she's gotten older, like she recently retired from the military last year from 30 years. And so she's had a house since I was in 6th grade. It was an older house. And I always told her, like, you know, Mom, like, take a little bit of money here and there and fix up the house, because if you keep waiting, it's going to be too much stuff wrong with the house and it's going to cost an arm and a leg. And so our first year of marriage, we stayed at my mom's house while she was deployed somewhere else. And so, of course, you're in someone else's house where you see things. We're like, okay, the toilet went out. We use the toilet every day, so we'll replace the toilet. Or like the refrigerator went out. We use the refrigerator. We'll replace that. But like the deck stuff, things like just regular maintenance things. And of course, because she let it go on and on and on, it's more expensive. Not because the deck is expensive, but because there's so much structural damage. And so I think, well, now she's spending a lot of time and money getting it fixed. But I think now she sees that she probably should have listened to me. She probably would never tell me that, but I don't know. I just think my mom is kind of like I'm not gonna say compulsive. I mean, she can be compulsive. Like we moved into our apartment, she was like, "Oh, y'all need this, or y'all don't need this." I'm like, "Why do you have that?" Like just the little things that you have. Like even if it was only $5 here, $10 here, like if you didn't buy it, you could put that in a savings account. Mm-hmm. And like for her, I don't understand how she like says like she doesn't have much savings. I'm like, how? But you know, everybody manages their things differently, and so we don't have like in-depth conversations about money. But like from the outside looking in, like I can see that she can make some better choices.
Yeah, and I know it's not always easy having those conversations, you know, with our parents, because you know it's like it's us, you know, no matter how old we are, we're still their kids. So it's different trying to like talk to them about money or give advice or tips, but sometimes when you notice certain things, it's like we just want to help and you know give them some advice that we think may help them. So most of us we have, you know, their best interests, you know, at heart, but I know sometimes it's not always easy because they may not be accepting of the advice or you know, after a certain age, sometimes we're kind of stuck in our ways too. Like I do believe that we all can make changes. It's never too late, you know, but at the same time, you know, at some point it's kind of like it's hard to accept advice from people, especially from your own kids. So I can totally relate to that with giving advice to my mom or other family members. But yeah, what about you, Christian?
Well, for my family, we're an open book for the most part. Like we like to talk about just stuff in general. Like that's one thing me and Mi'esha we clash on a lot. Is like I'm a debater and she's the, you know, like no, I don't want to talk about it. Like it's fine. Like, but me, like I'll take anything, even if it's not like serious, but like you know, debate about it. Let's talk about it. What you want to talk about? Let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. And so I have that because that's what we did growing up. Like, you know, again, 7 of us in the house, mom, dad, 5 kids, whatever. And we just, you know, just talkers. We just like to, you know, have bounce ideas back and forth off each other. A lot of the times, like financial things aren't mixed in there. But, you know, as of late, again, I think as we all get older, you know, start learning some of the importance of finances and long-term financial things. Things come up, we can talk about it. But Mi'esha is really big on this as well. Like, you know, again, keeping, you know, everybody need to know everybody's business, right? I think it kind of goes both ways. It's kind of a double-edged sword almost, where you want to, you know, give advice to people and kind of, you know, share what you learn, or whatever knowledge you have. But on the other side, especially, you know, in the Black culture, like, you know, we keep our business to ourselves, and this kind of could be a crutch, you know, for us, because other cultures aren't like that. They're really big on family, right? And like really understanding, like, well, if I can do this, I can show somebody else in my family how to do it. It's just that, again, that crutch that we have in our community about, you know, keeping your household to yourself. And there are a lot of a lot of different things that you should keep, you know, within your household. But there are, like you're saying, financial literacy should be something that we, share and spread and try to teach other people about, even if it doesn't mean, us working together on some business venture, but it's still just sharing that knowledge or whatever like that. So.
Yeah, I love that. I totally agree. I think a lot of times we're, you know, secretive and don't want to share certain things, but I do feel like, yes, certain things can be private. The whole world doesn't have to know everything, but I think it does help for us to share things, not just the wins or things we think could help other people, but sharing things that we felt was kind of hard or difficult, or some that didn't work out that we felt like, hey, this didn't work out the way I planned, but you could probably learn from this experience. That's something that helped me when I started to hear other people just talk about their not just money experiences, but life experiences, and to know that, hey, it's not just me, struggling with some things sometimes. I think different levels in life, we sometimes things are going great and we have all these wins, and then sometimes things are a little rough. But that's okay, because we get through it and we can overcome it and share it with the next person, of course. So I would love to know, what do you feel is like you all's best money decisions so far?
Yeah, definitely moving to Egypt was definitely our best financial decision. We moved to Egypt. I am a school counselor, and so I got a position at an international school. Christian has no education background, but they hired him as a PE teacher and a permanent sub, so it worked out. But in moving to Egypt, the particular school we worked at, we each got a contract. They paid for our flight there, a flight home every summer. Our salary was tax-free, and we got paid like in USD and the local currency. And so we lived off of the local, like a percentage of our monthly salary was in the local currency. And so we lived off of that. And they gave each of us a housing allowance. So we barely spent USD like while we were there. So we would just send it home. And so obviously we were able to save a lot faster and a lot more money in 2 years than we would have saved here in 2 years.
Right.
So I definitely say that's the best decision. Egypt was okay. It was nice for what it was. We got to travel a lot. We got to pay down debt, but also like save money and also like live and not feel like, oh, we can't go to the Cheesecake Factory. We should put that money here. So I definitely say that's the best thing. And like transitioning back to the States, financial wise, I'm like,
it's crazy.
Oh, maybe I could have stuck out another year.
To put it into perspective, another good thing we did was this company called YNAB. It's like pretty much YNAB.
You need a budget.
Right, you need a budget, right? So everybody needs a budget. And this was before we even went to Egypt, right? This was like maybe before we were married, we were doing that too.
No, we ain't sure no money before.
No, I'm saying what we doing. The YNAB thing, either one.
I think it was probably when we first got married.
Okay, maybe it was when we first got married. Either way, yeah, that's what it was. Because I was the one pushing for a budget. Like, look, like we need to make sure okay, I remember all this now. Sorry. So yeah, we bumped heads a little bit, but for me, I'm more of the financial, like I'm a financial, not geek per se, but I like to just learn stuff in general. And so we're both really good with money, but I'm the person that's like really like looking at numbers and want to have the spreadsheets and kind of like all the different charts and stuff. Like it just comes natural to me, that particular part, right? So this is when I stumbled across this, you need a budget app, and we started just, seeing all our money, putting into this app that kind of teaches you about pretty much budgeting everything down to the last cent, right? You should know where your money is going before you even get your money, right? So we can pretty much plug in our income, and we know when our next paychecks are coming in, we can budget out all that money before we even spend it. That was the whole idea behind the app. And so to put into context what she's saying about like Egypt versus here in the States, all of 2009, all of 2019, right? I have all that, data about what we spent, whatever, when we were in Egypt. And we moved back here, and I looked maybe like, I think we were here for about 4 months, I believe, right? And so 4 or 5 months, we spent more than 4 or 5 months here than we did the entire year 2019 in Egypt, right? Just, getting here, getting an apartment, furnishing an apartment, groceries, food, whatever we had to do for the apartment, and just, living. We, rent and electric bill, whatever. We spent more in like 4 or 5 months than we did the whole year in Egypt. And that was with 2019. We were in Bali.
Yeah.
We were in Bali for that summer. That's with the trip in Bali. That's with, I think we did South Africa too.
The end of 2019.
Yeah, we did. That's with all the vacations and everything in 2019 we did. We still spent more here. So that's why that was one of our biggest decisions. I also, the YNAB, so having that app and really deciding to do a budget and, stick to it and have those hard conversations. That was probably the best part about having the budgets. Every month we sit down and had conversations about money, about what we're going to do, and just making a decision together. Like, this is what we're going to do. So there's no things are coming up where I'm doing something I can't say why. I didn't know where. We just have had an understanding about that together. So I guess those two things: the budget and then moving to Egypt.
And the YNAB, I don't even know what the YNAB says, honestly. Like, I just the money go in the account. He say I paid the bills, tithes are paid. Like, we make sure we pay tithes. He said he puts my allowance in my account, and then that's all I worry about. Like, I don't even know the login for YNAB.
Just like, I don't even need to see, as long as you got it under control.
He asked, like, what do you have going on for this month? Like, that wouldn't necessarily come from my allowance or whatever. And so I say, I got my grandma's birthday, or I got therapy, or, and then he'll plug it in. And I said, I might do this, or I might need this. But I try my best to tell him up front, because there are times where it's like, middle of the month, and I'm like, I need some money. You didn't tell me at the beginning. Well, I didn't know. So, and he's like, well, we can't do it.
We can't.
And that makes me angry. Like, because I don't know what's going to come up. Like, I don't know if I'm going to have a hard day at work and I want to go get a massage. Like,
right. Sometimes those needs and feelings to want a massage just kind of pop up, kind of spare the moment sometimes. But I do get it. It is important to talk about it and have I know sometimes, even for me, I'll set a certain amount aside for miscellaneous or unexpected things that I may want to do. That way, if I decide, I want to get a massage, because I love massage and facials. So if I'm just I just feel like I want to be rejuvenated, I can pull from a section of, money where I don't feel like I'm pulling from something else. But I do get it, Christian. I like to know the plan, what's going to be paid for. But, sometimes it's having flexibility too, when things come up. But I do love the fact that you all experienced living in another country and comparing, managing expenses in two different countries. And when I first went to, I flew into Bali, but I was going to Gili Air Island. It was so cheap over there. And I was just like, I don't even want to go back to America, because I'm literally having fun every day. And that just massages. I told them, do y'all realize how much this costs in America? And they give the best massages, the clothes that I bought while I was there. I was just like, that's something that I want to experience, y'all. I really want to one day live abroad. Not sure for how long, but when you said that you all spent more in 4 months, it do make you kind of wonder, should we go back? Because it is very expensive. And when I've traveled to other places and people say that they've, I went to Johannesburg in 2018, and there was an area in Soweto, I think I'm saying that right, where they had some bungee jumping, and they knew I wasn't from there, of course. And they were like, where are you from? I said, Tennessee. I'm originally from Tennessee. And they said, oh, I really want to visit America, but it's so expensive. And just seeing how, how other people, talk about how it's so expensive here. And it's just so much cheaper in so many other areas. You just sometimes it make you really consider, should I stay over there? But that's something that I want to experience. And I'm glad that you all we're at least able to say, hey, we've done that. We've experienced living in another country. That way, if you guys decide to do it again, you already have that experience under your belt. So what do you feel is one of your most challenging money experiences?
Challenging. I don't know about challenging per se, but I know it did open up our eyes to like finances and financial literacy. So maybe like 6 or 7 months before we got married, I mean even longer than that. But we went to one of those, wedding couple, not retreats. What am I trying to say?
Listen to this and you get a free something.
One of those type things, right? And so they hooked and baited me more than her into these kitchen things, right? So it's like pots pretty much. And so yeah, they are really, really good pots. We have them now and they are really good. When I look back on it and the way he was selling it to me, now I'm a little bit smarter and I kind of see like this wasn't a good purchase, right? So we were pretty much, they told you about how much it costs up front. They tell you about the financing and how the interest and stuff works. So like not understanding interest rates, not understanding that this is going to be it's going to be revolving credit. So it's actually going to go on our credit. It's not going to be like a separate thing where we're paying this company monthly. It actually was on our credit scores, right? So the way it was credit usage, right, on our credit. So the way it's looked to other on our the way it looked on our credit report is if we were spending, let's say $3,000 on a $3,500 credit card. Like that's how it looked. And that number got smaller every time we paid, but that's not what I knew going in, reading the fine print. Like, whoa, this isn't just like some kind of arrangement we're making where we're paying you or paying this company and at a certain interest rate every month or whatever. This is actually going on our credit scores. This is actually bringing our credit scores down because it's seeing this arrangement as usage on our credit score. So that was a big thing. And so we were in Egypt. We were paying it off every month, and I like going back to YNAB and how I had it like coded. I had it coded as like stupid dishes, right? Like I was so upset every month we had to pay this. Like this is so stupid. And when we tried to get out of it, like again, fine print countries and stuff like says you have like 24 hours to cancel this, right? I didn't get hit the game until like a week later. I'm like, wait, not. I would call them back. It was like, oh no, you had 24 hours to cancel. There's really nothing you can do at this point. I'm like, God, dog it. Like I was really upset. And so that for me, like opened my eyes. This is one of the reasons why we even wanted to get into like, YNAB and budgeting. So it was a challenging experience, but it really opened us up to knowing like, especially me, I felt like as the husband, as the head of the household, like I should have known this before. Like I felt like there's something that I don't know and I don't like that feeling, right? So I'm like reading books, YouTube, whatever, just learning about this credit and revolving credit and what does that mean and interest rates and principal and all these different things. And now I was able to go back and even look at my student loans and kind of see like all these different words and stuff and what they mean. So, I mean, I kind of count it as a blessing because it really opened my eyes up into just knowing about or the need to know about finances and what this stuff really means when we're, signing our names on lines and not really looking at the real, the fine print, if you will. So,
yeah, I'm sure that taught you to when people are, sharing details about an offer or something that you're like listening more to what they're saying and also reading the fine print. Because that's what most of us do. Like we don't, we see the fine print agreements, contracts, but most of us, we may not read every single word, but it takes one time or a couple times to feel like, oh, I should have known better. And then you're like, you know what? I'm making sure before I put my name on here, I'm gonna make sure exactly, what this is. So I'm sure even though it wasn't what you expected, I'm sure, like you said, you learned something from it. That way you can make better decisions with future, opportunities too.
And I think for me, like that's definitely a challenge. But another challenge for me is just more like being in America, one, but morphing entrepreneurship into the household. Like when we were in Egypt, like Christian was like starting up his business, like just, courses or whatever. So I'm like, we're like, oh yeah, it costs this much, run that. Because we spending, like we're living off of Egyptian pounds. So we're not really taking, like it's not affecting us now as much as it is now. And then like being back in the States and entrepreneurship and trying to like pay bills, pay tithe, get allowance, pay for Dubsado, do this. It's like,
Becomes a long list of expenses. And like as you start to, even me, I felt like the more I was, building and growing my business, the more tools I feel like I need and more course that's going to help me do this part of my business. So like the list of expenses does grow very quickly. But I know we're investing in ourselves so we can, generate more income and be able to provide more value to the people that we're serving. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge and not as easy as, like people on social media make it seem like, oh, it's super easy and cool. Like, yeah, it's fun, and I'm enjoying learning, and I know you guys are too. But sometimes it's like it's a lot. It's different when when you compare it to going into a job and working your hours and getting your weekly or biweekly paycheck. But with entrepreneurship world, it's like, yeah, it's just a lot more into it, and I feel like we're all continuing to like learn and grow every day. But definitely getting organized really helps. So like you say, you guys have the budgeting app and more attentive to expenses. Do you feel like when you came back to the States, do you feel like it was more expenses with your businesses when you came back to?
Yeah, so now I'm doing, like you said, with the business, I'm doing it full time. This is what I do all day, every day now. And so in Egypt, we had the jobs in Egypt, whatever. So I was kind of just tapping into the experience, and it was really difficult in terms of what I was doing in terms of like videography and video production work in Egypt. It just really wasn't happening over there. Different reasons behind that, but that's just how it was over there. And so I was really just in the startup phase of just getting the LLC together and doing this whatever. So it really wasn't a lot of expenses coming out, just period. But now that I'm here and I'm doing this full time, like you said, like as a business owner, there are just things that you don't even like know that you need, whether it be marketing things or CRM systems or your website and paying for that monthly and or freelancer, different things you need somebody to do for you. Like there's always these different expenses that come up. So yeah, it's different. But like you said, it's an investment. And that's kind of how I see it, as an investment. And so it's getting better over time. The more you put into the business, the more it comes back. It's just a slow process, and it just
I'm impatient.
And Mi'esha's very impatient. But it's going well. And I think that's one thing we did learn in Egypt was patience. At least I thought we learned. We got back here and she forgot all the patience that she had. Yeah, it's just all about being patient, just trusting the process and just being on the journey and just being okay with being on the journey. There really isn't any end goal or not goal, but it really isn't any destination. You're just taking one step and putting it, step by step and just letting it be.
Yeah. And how long did you all stay in Egypt?
2 years.
2 years. I bet, did it seem like it went by really fast or kind of slow?
I think it did. I think it kind of like gradually like
Yeah.
that. It felt like it was slow when we first got there and we were, getting acclimated into the culture and understanding different nuances of like what it means to live there. It just felt like, bro, this is, difficult. But as we settled in and like, everything kind of became our norm, kind of adjusted. Yeah, time definitely flew by. So at least that's what people here say. Oh, y'all back? Like, y'all, just left, whatever. But in the beginning, it felt like we had been gone for forever. And towards the end of our thing, it felt like we hadn't been gone that long. So.
Mm-hmm. And would you guys do that again? Live abroad in the same place or a different country?
I would be up to it.
He up to it because of the money.
I would be up to it.
For me, I think it would be if I had an itch again. So before we left, I was at a school and I was sick of the school, and I wanted something different. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I was going to be at that school. And so but when we started thinking about it, we had only been married maybe not even that long.
Yeah, in the fall semester. So.
Okay, so maybe like 4 to 6 months. We had only been like married. And so I always hear like teachers going abroad, because obviously there's a lot more teaching positions, even in the States. Like at my school, we have 2 counselors and it's a bajillion teachers. So I was like, man, they don't have no counselor positions overseas. Like, And so I talked to Christian, and he was saying like, let's do it. And so it was kind of like, let's put some filters out there and see what we get. And we got something. And so being a counselor internationally, we were at a private school, and so their needs are a lot different from being a counselor here. I'm at a Title I school here, and so the needs are different. Like my job looks different. So in Egypt, like, I was making a difference, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled, like as fulfilled as I feel in the Title I school. So it will be like me getting tired of being like stressed and stuff, and knowing that if I go overseas, I'm gonna be doing fluff stuff. Like I was in Egypt playing on Pinterest. So I think like if I get to that point where I'm tired or I want a break, like I would go. Yeah. And or if like Christian, gets a big deal with video stuff, like, and it's gonna take care of the income or whatever, like, yeah, we'll go. Me, Christian, and the cat.
Right. That's cool. And at least you guys can pull from your past living abroad experience, making that transition.
I don't know if we go to Egypt though.
Might be a different country, huh?
It don't matter to me. I've always been like, kind of like, okay, let's do it. Like, so she was going through this thing where she wanted to get out of the school she was at when she first started. That was her first year. For me, I was kind of going through the same thing. Like, I loved the job I was at, but I was working like 50, 60 hour weeks. I was doing like consulting in the HR and payroll space. And so I enjoyed it. It was flying me out to different clients. I was flying around the country, whatever. So it felt like, good to be like one of the young employees at the company, but like kind of making big moves and stuff. But I was working like crazy. I actually didn't like it, whatever. And so I was like, you know what? And I don't really I enjoyed that piece of it. The money was good and all that type of stuff. But like, I know I really wanted to do video production and really wanted to get behind the camera and do that. And so when she came to me and said, she wanted to do something different, I was like, you know what? Me too. Let's do it, whatever. But also kind of like going in knowing that I have no education experience, whatever. And so that's kind of how we landed in Egypt. So, long story short, we were going to international conferences where, these schools from around the world, sending a representative, and they would give a little spiel about what their school offers and things like that. And not every, but most of the schools we went to, or the different presentations we went to, were saying, there's this thing called trailing spouses, and I will be a trailing spouse because, we're here to look for her a job, but I will be a trailing spouse, and a lot of them didn't have positions for trailing spouses unless you were an educator. But Egypt, like she said, they have a position for full-time sub. So pretty much, they said the only thing you have to have is a bachelor's degree. It's like, well, I have that, and that's why we ended up in Egypt, because they again offer both of us positions. And so it worked out. And so now I have like the 2 years of teaching experience. I think I would, it would be easier for us to find options. If we do decide to go back out, it would be easier for us to find options. Now that I want to be considered a trailing spouse, now I'll be like, I want to do as a PE teacher or maybe something like that. So I learned a lot in 2 years. I've always been like open to like, let's figure this thing out, let's learn whatever. And so that worked out. And so maybe, if she gets the itch, it's up to her. And the day she gets the itch, so let's do it. Depending on where I'm in my business. Now things will be a little bit more complicated or whatever. But again, if it comes up, I would, look at the opportunity. If it checks all my boxes, they got to pay for housing, they got to be tax free. I need not rides, but I need flights back and forth. Like I need all this to be free before we even consider, those options. So
yeah. got a list of requirements before it's official. And I really like that you mentioned about, your job you had before, how you were flying around the country and, you made good money. I think that's confirmation that it's not, it gets to a point where it's not just about the money. Like you start to desire to not just earn money, but you want to do things you really like and enjoy and still earn money at the same time. I know that's something that I experienced with the work I had done, over the last 14, 15 years. Like it was, traveling, it was cool. You meet new people, make good money. But then once you start to have like interests and desires that kind of grow bigger and bigger in other areas, then you start to feel like, Mi'esha, like you mentioned, not feeling fulfilled. And, you're like, for me, I was online looking up, reading books and watching videos and making my little to-do list and writing my ideas and stuff. And that's when like, okay, eventually I'm gonna have to make a move here or I'm just be miserable for the next 10 years. So I really like the fact that you guys are open to doing new things, different things, and learning and growing throughout the process. But for Christian, for your business, Pixel Estates, I would love to know how you decided to get into that type of business.
So the reason I really wanted to get into it, because again, I'm learning more about finances, and so real estate has always really been big for me, and wanted to get into real estate investing. And so, and I said we had already made this decision. Was when we come back, I was like, look, we go back to the States. I'm not going back to my corporate job. I'm gonna do my own thing, whatever. And so we made a decision to go back. All right, I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with this business. I know I want to do video production, and then it kind of came to my, like whatever, like what, let's combine those two things, real estate and video production. And I saw that there was a need, in that space for video and like different things you can do with video, whether it be social media marketing or different campaigns, whatever. And so that's kind of how I came up with Pixel Estates, and that's why I went that route.
Yeah. I love it because I have a daughter, she's 17, and she wants to be a real estate agent. And we were having conversations about, her making a social media page and, content, have to have the videos and pictures, and it's, I know it's more than just that, but that's what the first thing people do. They go look at your Instagram page, they look at your website, you get judged on the quality of your content you're putting out there. So I really think that that's great, that work that you're doing. And I may be hiring you one day. Do you only do people in Atlanta?
Right now, yeah, but if we have a conversation, we can talk about travel and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
Also too, like to your point about content, it's more than just the content, right? Like content is the vehicle that we're using now to kind of explain ourselves to other people or communicate to other people. But I think it really boils down to value. And that's one thing I try to teach people I'm working with. Like it's all about providing value. At the end of the day, social media is still social, right? Like it should be about communicating with people and bringing value to people. You have to pretty much put yourself out there and put out what value you have. And once you do that, all the content and things like that, they come into place. But if you have some value to give to other people, that's kind of what it all boils down to.
Yeah, most definitely. I love that. And I like that you are helping those real estate professionals out there because, more people are wanting to buy homes. And I think even before the pandemic, I know a lot of people were trying to get their content together, but even now, more people are trying to make sure that their content is, organized, authentic and engaging, but also that's going to help them bring in more clients and, of course, provide the good value that the clients need. So I love that. And I would love to know more about yours, Mi'esha. How did you decide to start your business?
So I started initially in Cleo. We met when we both were bloggers. And so I started in the blogging space like shortly after I found my biological father. I'm like, oh, I should, probably share my journey, like my faith-based journey, like how I'm on this journey to get close to God, like sharing with other people while still like encouraging people, inspiring, motivating people. Like I really love that part of just who I am. And so in Egypt provided a lot of time to just be away from everything, like providing clarity and things. I wanted to find a way that I can combine like sharing inspiration with my educational background in psychology and counseling, and combining that with like my life experiences to help women that also may struggle like I do with anxiety, stress, and depression, and just kind of morph the three of those to help women. And so that's how I've kind of made that shift within the past 6 or 7 months or so. So in essence, it's still, I'm starting over. So starting over like with just the new foundation, the new premise of what I'm doing. And so while I'm not giving, like while they're not in therapy with me, because I know like some people are still like leery of just the word therapy, but while they're not like in full therapy with me, just me being able to have like some time with them to dig deep into maybe one issue that's causing anxiety, stress, or depression that's kind of taking a toll on them, and kind of working through that with them, providing them faith-based principles as well as clinical principles and tips that they can use to kind of morph it together. So
Yeah, I love that too. And I think a lot, like you mentioned the word therapy, I think sometimes men and women can kind of get a little hesitant to seek therapy or just to get help in other areas. It's going to help us, mentally, physically, all of that. But I really believe that it's a huge need for your services because we're all going through so much. And I think it's a disservice that we do to ourselves if we don't get the help that we need. And just the fact that you're sharing your story and that you've been in different areas,
that's that's
yeah, that can,
growing pain for me to even just share, even before I stepped into the coach space, but just the blog stuff, because I'm a pretty, like, I'll talk to anybody on the street, like anybody, but like sharing pieces like of my life or like my struggles, like I'm good over here. That's how I've operated like my entire life. And so I know like the stigma behind therapy. Like one, I went to school for, counseling, psychology, sociology. I went to school for that. And so knowing the negative connotations that has, like mental health has, plus being a Black person and what we're taught from the church, like you need to go talk to the pastor or pray about that. Like, yeah, you do need to do that. But you also need to talk to a professional, because going to talk to Sister Jackie or Brother Tyrone and asking them to pray for you, like, that may help to a certain extent, but they can't ask you the right questions that you need to help you kind of dig deep to figure out what's the root of your anxiety or what's the root of your stress, and like giving you practical tips that you can use in the everyday space to help you move forward. Like, yeah, I can say turn to John 3:16 and read that, but like if I'm having a full-fledged anxiety attack, like I don't want to read this. You need to tell me to breathe in a bag, count to 10, walk in the park, like just like certain tangible things that I can do right then and there. And then once I calm down, maybe I can go back and read John 3:16. Maybe.
oh, that's good because that just gives us, confirmation that we need more than just, talking to the pastor or praying, or even I've had people tell me, Cleo, you'll be fine. Just go take a nap. Like when I wake up, I still need some help here. So I think just hearing other people talk about these type of topics, and that we've all, had some type of counseling or therapy, that inspires other people that, hey, you know what, maybe I should try to see a counselor or a therapist or just talk to somebody. Sometimes just getting it out to a close friend or someone that you trust that, genuinely cares about you. Sometimes it just helps just to get it all out because, we know if we hold it all in, it can
Christian a few times.
it's not good to hold it all in. And, just with, working, regular jobs or just working as entrepreneurs, as we elevate, we'll have new like challenges and experiences. And it's like, it's going to always be, we're going to always need space in our life to talk with someone or seek therapy or counseling. So I love the work that you're doing as well. And when it comes to, financial freedom, I would love to know, what does financial freedom mean to you all?
I'll let him give the intelligent answer.
Financial freedom. I mean, I know in Egypt we weren't rich, whatever, but we did feel, financially free. Like it was a really, really stress-free living because, like you said, before, we were living off just the Egyptian pounds for the most part, and so that was for me was the financial free part of like, you know what, not worrying about bills, not gonna worry about this and that, and really we budgeted our USD. Right, we budgeted that money going back, but we didn't really budget on like just everyday expenses because when I say it was so cheap, like you really didn't have to, right? Like it was so cheap to live there and eat and pay whatever. It really wasn't really a reason to budget out that particular money. And so that's, I guess, kind of where that freedom comes from. I think also another part of the freedom part for me, at least, is just being able to do, what I feel like I want to do in terms of like, whether it be with the business or whatever, like that's for me is very, very freeing, like entrepreneurship, even though it's very difficult. And, I ask myself, like, why am I even doing it? I can go back to my corporate job and make this money like that, or whatever, right? Like, why am I going through, staying up all night, reading and learning? Like, why am I doing this? But, the freedom to be deciding, you know what, this is my own thing, making my own decisions in my company, that's very freeing to me as well. So yeah, I guess those two things are my answer.
Yes, I love that.
Yes, what he said. But I think for me, like just being in the space where we know that bills are paid, tithes are paid, whatever expenses for the business are taken care of, and like having a pot of a big pot of allowance if we decide, oh, Mi'esha, you don't have to work on Friday or spring break. Like, let's go this place and like not even have to like, oh, well, we got to move this around here and move. Like just, I don't like the thought that I can't do what I want to do here in America. Like, I hate it. Like, I hate it so much. I'm like, bro, what we gonna do for Valentine's Day? Like, I want to do this, and it's like, when you check the budget, we're gonna be here in the living room, or like, just something simple. Like, I just want to be somewhere on the beach. But of course, COVID is shutting that down. But just feeling like everything is taken care of, and I can just do whatever I want to do. If I want to spend a month in Bali, then I want to do that because we have abundance.
Yes, I love that.
Abundance.
I want to get a massage every Saturday morning. I want to do that. So I don't know, just like I think being in Egypt, and now that we have two different perspectives, like living in Egypt and then spending 2 months in Bali, like the entire summer, like just those two perspectives, then to come back to America, I'm like, bro, this is
expensive. It's like it does make you just kind of have that moment like, should we go back? And now I see how other people may feel when they say, oh, it's expensive in America. And yeah, we know there's some areas where it may not be expensive here, but when you compare it to, cost of living in other countries, it's like, ooh, it is just ridiculous expensive.
Like healthcare.
Like, right, that's what I was going to say too. It's not just like, it's healthcare too. So like, I used to wear glasses and she used to have contacts, whatever, right? But I wanted to get my eyes fixed, like LASIK surgery, before we went to Egypt. And I got quoted, it was like $3,500, right? Let me tell you how much LASIK surgery cost me in Egypt. You ready for this? So we talking about $3,500, right? $360 to get LASIK surgery.
What?
So like, it's not even, it's the healthcare too. Like, even I got a lot of dentistry work done as well, like different operations and implants, things like that. Compared to here versus there, it's just totally different. Like, from the healthcare down to the food. Now, things like when you start getting into your wants, so like if I wanted to go out and buy some Jordans, right, it's gonna cost way more over there than they do over here because they're a commodity over there, right? But in terms of just living and having your needs covered, you good. But if you want to go out, to the malls, like they have different malls there, and they hike up all the prices of like Nike or Adidas or Apple, like all that stuff is like super expensive. Like, don't buy electronics over there because again, it's just that stuff is commodity, right? But again, living and just having your needs covered and being able to eat and provide for your family, like super easy, super chill. So
Ooh, I learned
that's
something new.
two perspectives, yeah.
Yeah, I learned something new. I didn't even realize that it was more expensive to buy those other wants out there, but the healthcare issue is big. Now I'm understanding more why people travel to other places to get certain medical work done because the quality is just as good or if not better and it's cheaper. So that's
Medical vacations is what I like, right? So whatever price, if I would have decided to get my $3,500 LASIK, like I could take that same $3,500, fly to Egypt for the first time, see the pyramids, whatever, have a tourist experience, whatever, get my LASIK and fly back and spend less than $3,500. That's why people do that, whether it be for LASIK or different dental surgeries, whatever it is. Chances are, whatever they're quoting you at the doctor's office, you can take that same money and travel somewhere. Now,
hmm
obviously, COVID is gonna make a big difference. Now, it's not
yeah.
travel like that, but before COVID, that was definitely a thing, like medical vacation.
I hadn't heard that before. Medical vacation. I'm adding that to my list because I feel like any way that we can, get the things that we need and get it at a lower price and still have fun, like you said, medical vacation. That's all good. So I love, love, love that. I'm gonna have to share that with my mom and my sister too. But we're going to go to the financial affirmation. So I'm just going to pull a random financial affirmation. I've already shuffled them and I'm just going to recite it to you. And you guys are just going to tell me how it makes you feel or how it relates to your own personal or professional journey. All right. I like this one. It is, I can productively manage large amounts of money.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what we were doing. Managing that money and knowing, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, right? Like really looking at your expenses and being able to know, okay, I'm spending this much money. Should I do this? Should I not do this? Whether it be investments or different things you need for the business, like all these things come down to management. And really, again, I feel like that's just top level. It really comes down to just you, and this is kind of where like some of the therapy and just self care and like really learning about who you are and what you need. That's one thing Egypt taught us as well, is like there are so many things that we didn't have over there. Not because we couldn't afford it, but just like it really didn't make no sense to. Like we knew it was gonna be a temporary thing when we were living over there, so we didn't buy certain things for our apartment. We was like, oh, no, I'm done doing that. And you think like wow, like we went 2 years without having X, Y, Z, and so it really makes you think like when we coming back here or just in general, like do I really need this thing, right? Like why do I feel like I need to do this? Like what inside of me is making me want to do this and that? And so that's kind of where managing that large sum of money comes in. Like let it sit here, invest into different whether it be properties or stock market or whatever, versus do I need to go out and buy these pair of shoes or these whatever. And I think COVID is also helping with that as well. Like, okay, we can go out and buy you a dress. Where you going? Where you going? Really making you kind of rethink things that you need and or that you want.
Yeah, that is so true. When you mentioned about not needing certain things, I remember a couple years ago, there's a segment on the news they were talking about, America and us using like public storage companies, how they're like, Americans just have so much stuff that somebody created the idea of having storage spaces, and then it's multiple storage companies, right? But they're like, people pay for their stuff to sit somewhere. And it's like when you think about it, like I could see if maybe you're relocating or moving and needed somewhere to temporarily put your stuff. But even then, sometimes you wonder, like, do we really need all of this stuff that we're just letting sit somewhere or just dragging from, city to city?
Right. And that's one thing too. I'm glad you mentioned that because I had that kind of thought when we moved back home. So we had our stuff in storage as well, and we brought everything back here. And kind of just dawned on me going back to these dishes, like whatever, right? Expensive dishes, they are really really good. But now when you really think about these things, like okay, now that I have them and I'm using them, they're really really good. Now I have to take care of them. Now I have to pay, whether it be for this can be for a car, or whatever. I gotta pay insurance to pay for, to to protect this expensive thing I just bought. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when we moved, we had to put it in storage. That wasn't the only thing we put in storage, but still, you know, you don't want to put your nice things somewhere bad, whatever. So now you're paying for this thing you bought. You got to pay for it in the first place. You got to pay to protect it. You got to pay to, you know, store it. Like, that's when we really have to start thinking, like, how much do these things, you know, really cost us, right? Will it be a car or clothes or whatever? It's just the whole idea, like you said, about just understanding what things really cost. And yeah.
And it helped us be even more minimalist than we were already. Like I mentioned earlier, like we lived in my mom's house. I mean, her stuff was still there. I'm like, bro, why you got all this stuff? Like, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like, anyway, like I don't even like a bunch of mail on the table. Like, I hate it. And so when we moved back, before we even bought anything, like we had the whole apartment floor just full of stuff in the storage. And we got rid of, like, you know, those vans at U-Haul, like the vans, a van full of stuff went to Goodwill that we don't need. And mind you, it was like high school stuff, college stuff that we hadn't gone through. Like, we got rid of so much things. And like in Egypt, I left so many clothes. So many clothes in Egypt. Like, I just left them. Right. One, because the quality of the water, like washing the clothes, and then like they don't, dryers over there are a luxury, so drying them, the dust get into them. I'm like, I'm not bringing these clothes back. So I left them there, and when it started getting cold here, I like switched out my closet a little bit. Not really switched it out, but I put like things that I knew I couldn't wear in a small container, like a small storage container, and it's in the outside little storage thing. And even with having like all my winter clothes in like the storage thing, and all my, you know, dress clothes or work clothes, like everything fit in a closet, in a walk-in closet. I said, I ain't never in my life had all my belongings, shoes, jewelry, winter, fall, spring, summer. I've never in my life had everything fit in one closet. And I still had maybe like this much space on one side of the closet with no like with nothing. I'm like,
didn't need all that, huh?
All of it. Like, I can only wear one pair of pants, one shirt at a time. And so, yeah, it just helped us be even more minimalist.
Yeah, we had so much stuff going.
Mm-hmm.
We had so much stuff.
Because people said you can't find stuff over there. Seasonings, hair products. So much stuff.
Wow.
We had like 9 bags.
And they got lost.
Yeah, 9 bags.
And all of them got lost when we touched down in Egypt. We didn't have nothing.
I remember, you know, around that time when you had posted about like losing stuff, and I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, I was sitting imagining like how it would feel with none of your stuff. And I was just like, that is just like the craziest. You know, I know we relocate, especially to another country, you know, you never know what'll happen, but I'm sure that was not on the list of things, you know, that could possibly happen. But I'm glad it all, you know, worked out, and you guys were able to learn and grow and just to have a new life experience together, and then been able to bring it back here, and then you're back in the States. So I love it. And I'm learning a lot about that. What you just said about the dryer and that the dust come in, it's like little stuff like that. I guess you really never know until you're over there living in another place, you know?
Yeah, we didn't have a dryer for a whole year. We had a washing machine, washing clothes for 2 years. For 2 years, washing our clothes and hanging them up, whatever, to dry.
Old school.
It was just like, again, it became our new normal. Like, it wasn't a thing. Like, now as we get back, it's nice to have a dryer, right? It's certain things like, you know what, I like being able to, like, you know, wash, like have something be dirty and then wash it, and then I can wear it that same day, versus now if it's dirty, you ain't getting it to 2 days from now.
It's like you appreciate those things more when you can have, you know, like you said, being able to wear it the same day. It's like you don't really realize how important something it is until you don't have it for a period of time. Getting to know you more Q&A. So it's just a couple questions to learn more about you two. So I want to know, what is y'all's favorite food? I'm sure it may be different for each of you.
So I think I know.
Okay. Okay.
So in Egypt, there are a lot of things that we didn't have. And one of the things is like, like quick meals. Like here we got hamburger helper, Velveeta, things like that. And so in Egypt, you don't got all that. And so you literally have to make a lot of things from scratch. And so I like pasta. And so I'm, experimenting with different recipes. And so in Egypt, I experimented with a lot of different pasta recipes. And I made one over there. It's like a Cajun chicken pasta. Because I brought seasoning from the States because they told me to. But yeah, I like that. I would say like that's probably one of our favorite meals. Like when we first got back and got settled in our apartment, we had like our family members over like a little at a time, and Christian would say, make the pasta because it's cheap and it's very filling. I mean, and it's good. So I think my home cook, I would say that. No.
I was gonna say peanut butter. So quick, easy answer. Peanut butter for me.
It's nasty.
You said peanut butter?
Yeah, I love.
And he just eats it with just a spoon out the jar. It's
really? You are the first person that I've met that says peanut butter.
Who are you? Who are your friends? Okay, you need to meet more people. Okay, they don't like peanut butter. Nothing's the problem.
So you said you'll eat like just like a little snack. You'll just eat it like with a spoon.
Listen, it's amazing.
No, I like peanut butter, but I've never eaten it just like that. I'm gonna try that.
Again, growing up, whatever. I can take my mom used to. One thing my mom bought like crunchy peanut butter by accident. I guess she wasn't looking, whatever. She bought the kind that had like a little crunch in it, whatever. So I scooped it up, put it into a bowl, put it in the microwave, and it's real.
Creamy. I was just gonna ask that the crunchy or just no crunch.
I'm really a no crunch guy right now. I don't really care for the crunches, but I just like peanut butter. I really like it on bread with carrots, whatever, celery. I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even have to have like anything to drink with it.
Yeah, that can kind of get clogged up in there.
Get the right kind, get the creamy kind, and it's good.
Okay, well that's cool. I learned something new I could try is eating scoops of peanut butter right out the jar. Okay. What about seasons? What is your favorite season? Spring, summer, fall, winter?
I lived in Egypt for 2 years where we wake up and it's 110 degrees, so the heat don't really bother me anymore. I like summer or like the beginning of fall. I hate winter. I don't like being cold. Like I've been walking around all weekend with an electric blanket.
Gotta stay warm.
They all the same to me. I don't know.
You the same? Oh, you said all the seasons are the same.
They're the same to me. They're not the same, obviously, but
yeah.
I never even thought about like having a favorite season. I guess fall is cool because the leaves are changing colors.
It's pretty outside for fall. The beginning of fall, the end of fall.
I guess that's cool.
Okay. Cool. So what is your favorite thing to do when you're not working?
I like watching movies. I'm a movie person, obviously video production, whatever. That's again childhood story, but we grew up, we didn't have cable. And my parents were really strict about us like watching TV, period. So we didn't watch, we couldn't watch, TV on school nights and like that, but we did a lot of movies as a family, like at home, not like going to the theater, but like, my mom was part of those little DVD clubs, whatever. And so we were like, every Friday night we have like a movie night. And so I got really, really big with movies. So I enjoy watching, movies.
Cool.
Yeah. Movies are good.
Movies good.
I like watching movies, but Christian can watch a movie, and that'll be his self-care / couples time. Like we do couples time like once a week, and he'd be like, "We gonna watch a movie?" I don't want to always watch a movie.
And it's perfect because now it's COVID. I'm like, where are we gonna go anyway? We might as well just stay here.
Right. I'm glad you said self-care movie because I was in a group chat with some people earlier last week and they were talking about things you can do for self-care. And I said, I watch movies because you can relax, watch a good movie. And just like you said, you can't really, go to, stuff is open and, but it's just, why not watch a movie? I mean, it's relaxing. It's fun, girl. Yeah. So what is your favorite movie?
So I don't know about, I'm sorry.
Yes, no,
I don't know about movie per se, but we kind of like grown to love the thriller genre of movies. And so like I like it because I'm not really a big fan of like horror movies or whatever, right? And so thriller kind of still gives you that suspense, whatever, but it's still like realistic stories, the things that could actually happen in real life. And just usually, like for whatever reason, we just kind of gravitate to that genre together. We can watch a thriller movie together all the time. Maybe we kind of figuring out what we want to watch. Like I like action movies. She likes, sometimes comedy or romance. And for whatever reason, we kind of just came to a not even agreeing. It just kind of happened. But thriller movies have really been our thing.
Yeah. I love thrillers too, especially when it says, inspired by true events. I'm like, ooh, this really happened. I can't wait to see this. So I love thrillers too. And I like horror movies. My sister thinks I'm psycho and crazy because she's like, Cleo, how do you watch that stuff all the time? But I love thrillers and scary movies. So it makes for a good show. Sometimes we are asked, what advice would we give to our younger selves? But I would like to know, what advice would you give to yourselves right now?
For me, I would say to trust the process. Because that's something I'm working on. Like just being in the moment, it's gonna come. You have to do the groundwork. Yes. So yeah, trust the process and celebrate the small wins. A lot of times I have this grand idea, like, okay, I'm gonna launch this, and then this many people gonna get on the wait list, and this many people gonna book, and then when they don't book, I'm looking like, well, this is stupid. Why even do this? But not looking at like Mi'esha, like the fact that 5 people like saw your content and it was valuable to them, it made them like take the first step with it, like celebrate that part or whatever. So I'm trying to work on that.
I think for me, kind of the same thing, right? We hear that all the time, like trust the process. It's kind of becoming cliche at this point, but it's so real, right? And it really just comes down to, I think, because it's very personal, right? Like the whole idea of trusting the process and just being okay with, again, taking those steps, one foot in front of another. Is all you can really do is, and just whatever happens at the end of this is gonna be what happens. And that's why I would say the same thing for myself, just, being patient in the business and just trusting that I'm learning and I'm doing what I need to do. And every day I'm getting better, and it is what it is. I haven't read Michelle Obama's book yet, but the title, Becoming, right? Like that's kind of going back to that again, like that's because we're always becoming something, right? We never really become anything. We're always in the process of growing and learning until the day, we die or whatever. So we're always becoming something, whatever that something is. And that again goes back to trusting the process and just being okay with being on the journey to greatness. Like there really is no destination. It's just every day getting better, and whatever that may be, going towards whatever route you're going towards, just being okay with being on that journey.
Yes, I love it. And I think that's good reminders for all of us, us here and those out there listening, that we're just all taking it one day at a time, one step at a time. And we're also learning and growing throughout the process. And then I know for me, I just remind myself that I'm a forever student. So I don't have to be a master and know everything, but just keep taking it one step by step, and just knowing that when I reach that next level, there's going to be some more things I'm going to have to learn. So just being open to learning is something that I'm reminding myself of. $500,000. So if you all had $500,000 right now, what is the first 3 things that you guys would do together?
Talk to each other about what we're gonna do with it. That's the second thing. We gotta have a conversation. Time is gonna be, we both know, okay, we got tired, whatever. That's like 50 grand, I guess. You said 500,000? All right,
yes.
We ain't gonna go on ties, like no questions asked. Second thing is gonna be, we're gonna have a conversation about,
and I'm gonna look at YNAB this time.
Look at the rest. And then the third thing, it's definitely gonna be some type of investment. And those can go. I'm not really like do this, not that type of person. I'm really open to whatever. So yeah, first thing is tithe, second thing is talk, third thing is invest,
and fourth thing is take a trip.
See.
Had to slide that trip in there. 4 things. I love it, and I really love that you said talk, because we got to come up with a game plan. How we going to, make this money work for us. So I love it. So I really, really appreciate you two talking with me today. I learned a lot and enjoyed this conversation. And I know everyone out there listening is enjoying it as well. So if you two could just let us know how we can connect with you, support you, and your businesses.
So I am on Instagram at Mi'esha.Gabriella. That's me on Instagram. Follow me. Check out my posts. And then my website is Mi'eshaGabriella.com. And I have some bomb blog posts on there, some resources, some merch, some gear. So you can find me there. And if you ever have any questions, just shoot me a DM, send me an email, and I'll be there.
Great.
I'm on pixelestates.com, PIXEL Estates, ESTATES.com. So pixelestates.com. That's also my Instagram name as well. You can find me on those.
Pixel.estates.
Yeah, pixel.estates. Thank you for my Instagram. I have a guide on my website called Sell the Soul, and pretty much where a PDF version of how I'm teaching agents, real estate agents, videos that will help them with their brand, and like videos that every real estate agent needs to have. And so it's free, a freebie, if you will. It's a free guide on there. So if you know somebody in the real estate space that needs to, know a little bit about content creation and video production and really marketing themselves as an agent, they can go on my website. They'll find that there for free. So yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you guys so much. And everyone out there, definitely check them out on social media and on their websites and take advantage of the services and products that they have to offer so you can continue to level up in life. And this is the end of the show. But before I go, I want to encourage you, as always, to take it one step at a time and do your best every single day. And as you navigate through your financial journey, don't wonder what if, take a risk, and see you next week.